Hello everyone, welcome to another one of our Facebook Lives. We are standing in frigid country, let me tell you.
Very.
Did it get to 17 below last night or 35 below or something like that? So we're leaving the heat on today, which we didn't do last week, and if it kicks on you're going to hear it, but okay, we can't take it if it's not on. So I have a couple of announcements to talk about first. One is, those of you who are members of So Confident Series 10 2021, you were given a discount code for fabrics and patterns, and we need you to use it in the proper place. When you are putting in an order and you see total, then right below that it says redeem your code, and that's where we want you to put that coupon code. If you don't do that, and if you email us later or put it in the notes afterwards, we're not really able to process that like we used to. So we're hoping that you will just keep a record of that someplace and put it in that little box that says redeem your code. We would really appreciate that. We love giving you that discount. It's why you signed up for the program. We're all about customer service here at the Sewing Workshop, but that is one thing that we would like for you to help us with. And speaking of So Confident, there's still time to sign up for the year, Series 10 2021, the yearly program or the monthly program. And I did film the video for the joggers last week, so you're going to be able to see that class live on the 19th, and then our Zoom question and answer will be on the 25th. And for those of you who tried to join us for the Zoom recorded call in January, you noticed that it wasn't there, but you got an email that had a recorded video session of some of the questions that were asked in the January class, so you have access to that. So hopefully, though, we have the technology worked out. I don't know, Sewing Workshop and tech, I have young people who work for me, thank heavens. You understand about that.
Completely.
She's younger than me, but she's a little more my age than the people who
I don't have the technology
who work for me. All right, today is a really special day for me because I am reunited with an old friend, Jennie Atwood. Boy, we've known each other a long time.
Before Alex was born.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I met Linda at a party, and I didn't pay any attention to Linda, but I remember your garment. I know exactly what you were wearing.
Really?
Yeah, it was a shiny green. You were pregnant.
Oh.
Yeah, I loved it.
Well, when you're pregnant, you wear shiny green, I guess.
No, it was beautiful. It was gorgeous.
Well, that's 31 years ago then.
Yeah.
That's how long we've known each other. And then since then, our daughters have gone to school together. Yep. But for us, it's been a sewing relationship as well. And back in the days of my fabric store, Threadwear, you were a wonderful teacher and sewer and shopper.
Didn't make any money today, honey.
No. But you became an author. Mm-hmm. Do you have your book handy?
I do.
Let's dig it out.
Yeah, let's dig it out. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's called So Vintage, New Creations from Found Fabrics. And Jennie is really known for upcycling, recycling, using fabrics, repurposing them into contemporary clothing, home decorating, accessories, pillows and throws and whatever. So this book is fabulous and still available. And if you buy it, she'll make 11 cents. So that might be exaggerating, actually.
That might be an exaggeration.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would appreciate it
But
anyway.
The book is still available, and it's a fantastic book. But in the meantime, I've watched Jennie walk in our shop routinely and always wear. This one thing about you I like is that you really do wear what you sew. You don't just sew for the closet.
No, I wear it all. I do.
She wears it all. You're not much of a shopper out there for ready to wear.
No.
You really, and she sews a lot. What is your routine about sewing?
I read on your Series 5 blog, somebody in there said, if I don't sew every day, I get cranky. That's kind of how I am. Oh. I used it when the kids were little at 8:30 at night. I said, forget it. I'm not doing anything else except sewing. And I kind of still do that. So every night I go up there and sew for a couple hours and longer if I have time. And
that's a great habit. I've often said that you don't have to even have 2 hours.
No.
Many times I'm sort of not in the mood to sew. Or I'm sort of in the mood, but I'm maybe not I don't know. I'm just not there.
It's getting the gumption to get up from your chair.
Exactly.
And go do it.
And if you've worked all day and if you've been at the computer all day, your eyes are tired and whatever. But I might say to myself, you know, I'm really wanting to work on that high five jacket, for example. I think I'll just clean off my cutting table and thread my machine and wind a bobbin.
Yep.
I'll at least get ready for tomorrow. And that's exactly what I did over the weekend. But then sometimes you can do that, and then you realize you've got another 30 minutes in you.
Yeah. And now you're into it.
Yeah. And sometimes then it's 4 hours later.
Yes.
So you have to start. You have to put your toe over the threshold to just even get started. I had
this conversation with my 90-year-old mother who still sews. She lives in assisted living, and she was saying yesterday, I just am so tired. I don't have the gumption to go. I said, Mom, set your timer for 10 minutes. Just go in there for 10 minutes and see what you think. She said, it was great. I spent the afternoon sewing. Yeah. So just that.
Right. I read a blog yesterday, sort of unrelated to sewing, but it came home to roost that a lot of us spend a lot of time gathering what we think are the right materials, the right needle, the right thread, the right interfacing, the right whatever, when that is what's preventing us from really just sewing with the materials that we have, the tools that we've collected over our lifetime that may be old, but they're just fine. They'll do the job. I know a lot of people who sew literally in a small closet and they have a machine and some pins and some scissors, and their sewing is just as good as anybody who has 10 machines like I do and every kind of scissor that was ever invented and all that. So this is a great conversation. I'm going to go. Can we stop this and can I go sew right now? I'm kind of ready. All right, so you have used our patterns for a long time, and you're one of these people who gets a pattern and then you just run with it.
The first time I make it, I always make it just out of the bag.
All right.
I might do some alterations in terms of sizing, but the first one I usually make just like you say to make it.
All right.
And then I do my own thing.
And the high five is one of them, and just out of the bag is this. So the high five jacket pattern has been out for quite a while. It's now a download pattern only, not a printed pattern, but a lot of you are going to have it as a printed pattern if you'll look in your stash. But if you just pull it out of the envelope, this is what you're going to get. It's a shorter in the front, longer in the back, boxy, 2 rectangled. Actually, it's 3 rectangles because it's a front, a back, and a sleeve. Even the sleeve is a rectangle. And it has 1 button at the neck, period. So we're going to see what you've done with your high five jacket pattern, and this will blow your mind. Okay, you ready? Where do you want to start?
We can start with what I have on.
All right.
Okay, so it's a very easy pattern. It's the front and the back are basically the same except for the neckline, and I figured that out as I worked with it. So this is just the high five closed up the front, and the sleeves narrowed, and pieced here because I didn't have enough fabric. That's all I had. And with this particular one, I actually used just the backs.
That's an interesting concept because then you don't have to close it up.
No.
You've got a back that's one piece, cut on the fold, cut 2 of those.
Exactly. And also the back kind of comes up a little bit. I don't know if you can see it on this one, but it's a little bit higher, which kind of is a nice neckline. I like that.
That is brilliant.
Like this is showing, that kind of is what it looks like in the back.
Okay.
I think that's kind of fun.
And you lengthen the sleeves and narrowed it.
I lengthened the sleeves and narrowed.
And the piecing is done just a little bit in relationship to the vent, just a little bit higher.
Yeah, it's
than
where
the
my
vent.
fabric ran out is really what it is.
It's interesting. She brought this in and said, you know, if she were to do this again, you would run those stripes vertically. But I really disagree with you. I think that if a stripe is meant to be horizontal, which this is, it
is meant to be horizontal.
Yeah, and sometimes when you flip those stripes, I don't know, it just looks like you flipped the stripes.
Well, and I was worried that it wouldn't have the stability. That's why I did it this way originally.
That's true.
But I think it would have, but it's good to know that, you know, style-wise, it probably should be horizontal.
Jennie, by the way, this is a side note, she comes from a very talented family. Obviously her mother still sews, but her sister makes these incredible pieces of jewelry.
So a lot of times she'll send me jewelry and then I have to come into Linda's store and buy something to go with it. And that's one thing I like about your patterns. They're very architectural, and her jewelry is very architectural, and so it goes, I think.
Well, I like that concept of working with the jewelry first. I'm always the one who's like this morning, what do I wear with this? I don't know that I came up with the right thing, but you know, you have to have something at the neck these days. At least I do. Okay, so should we start up here?
Yeah, let's start
All right,
there.
because this is a little bit like what you have on.
Yes, and this is the same thing. I didn't have enough of this fabric. In fact, I came in here and I said, what do you have that would go with this? And I love the pop of color down there. And whatever this ponte knit is, it feels so nice to wear. It's very soft.
This is a very nice, soft.
It's not. I mean, it's lightweight, but it has enough drape to hold it.
Right.
So when I lengthened it, same thing. I think it's probably...
You lengthened the whole thing.
I lengthened the whole thing. I think I lengthened it about 4 inches from
and
what
you
the
do that right at the bottom?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
yes,
you don't split it.
I don't split
because
it.
it's a rectangle.
That's right. And I did it both in the front and the back.
What size do you make?
I usually make extra small.
Yeah.
Or small.
So you can tell that an extra small is generous. But here's Jenny, who's a small, petite person who's wearing a very oversized garment. But you've got the right profile because you have the leggings on and the boots, and the whole profile then works. And I'm seeing this look over and over and over again from all of the major designers. Big tops, narrow bottoms. We get a lot of pushback from our customers who want things smaller. You can make this pattern smaller by simply...
I did take a tuck on each side.
You can take a tuck.
About an inch out probably.
Yep. So that's
how
you
I did.
narrow
I'm not good at altering. So that's just what I did.
There aren't very many people, really, who would make the XXL in this. Or actually, is this a 1, 2, 3 size pattern, Erin?
I think it is.
I believe that's right. There are only 3 sizes, sort of a small, medium, large, we'll call it. And the large gets pretty big. I'm not saying you don't want it, but I'm just saying, you know, a lot of people can wear the 1 and the 2 sizes. We have these fabrics, this combination still. So, all right. Okay.
So that's basically the same thing, and then this is very similar as well. And I just wanted this fabric. I loved the color. I love the combination of colors. But I always feel like I can't wear a great big pattern. But if I border it, if I contain it with some other fabric, a geometric, that makes me feel like I can wear it. So I'll do that with a polka dot or a stripe or something.
Now you did something different here.
I just turned it under.
Yes.
I just turned it under and I hand stitched it. So this was 2 backs, and it was a little bit up like this, a little bit high, and I think I cut like 5/8 of an inch off, and then I just turned it under.
Yes.
And hand
For those
stitched
of
it.
you who are afraid of those bindings, turn it under and hand stitch it. You could zigzag it, you could top stitch it, you could do anything.
I felt like this knit was a little more stretchy, and I'm not that great at bindings on something this thin. This one was fine, so I could do it on that one.
Okay.
On that one, I did it on the front, but not the back.
Okay.
Because I liked how the back looked with it.
Okay. All right.
So that's that.
So this is a viscose jersey. All right. What's next?
And then this is probably this one right here.
All right.
This is a similar thing, same thing, but this was shorter. I made this one just a little shorter.
But this is one fabric.
Yeah, this
that
is just
was
the way
a
the
multiple
fabric
stripe fabric. Different widths in the same yardage. So you did not piece this, even though it might look like it on the screen.
When I made it, I wanted the black, wider one at the bottom because I wanted, again, to kind of border it and contain.
Right, and it weights
pattern.
it.
And it weights
I think
it,
it would have looked a little,
Yes.
well, it might not have looked bad, it just looked different if
Yeah.
you'd done it the other way. But, yeah. But the drapiness of these viscose knits is very nice, particularly for an oversized garment such as this.
And then I did it in a sweater knit that you had, Linda. And this is the shorter version too. I mean, it might be a little longer than the pattern it looks like it is, but I just did it straight.
Yeah, sweater knit,
Yeah,
a little bit of a
changed the
striped
neckline.
accent, black and white stripe. Yeah, this would feel good today, actually.
Yeah, it does feel good today. It
Yeah.
would feel good. And then I had, let me pull these out, Linda. That one. And that one. Because those are sweater knits inside?
Yep. Let's
So
do
this
it.
is a washed jersey. I just took some jersey wool that I had and I washed it in the wash machine and dried it in the dryer one time. And to me, this is my sweatshirt. I was inspired because you guys were talking about your joggers and your tops that go with all that. And I thought,
Right.
this is my sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Because it's bigger, but it's warm.
Right.
It's not so heavy. Sometimes I have neck pain, and sometimes some of those heavier fabrics bother my neck. but that doesn't at all, and yet it's warm.
This is wool jersey, and Jenny asked me yesterday if we had wool jersey, and we have a very difficult time finding wool jerseys.
This is probably about 20 years old.
And right now we don't have any. If you find it, great. But be sure that if you're wanting a fabric, a jersey, wool jersey that does change character, you're not going to want to buy merino jersey. That does not change character. It doesn't shrink, doesn't felt. But regular 100% wool jersey is a nice thing.
And you always want to sample it first. I did sample that, make sure it did okay.
Yeah.
But an alternative to that fabric, if you don't have that fabric, is this garment. And this is similar to, you have it as well in your store. I'll hold that.
Okay.
This is just a sweater knit. Just a polyester sweater knit.
Yeah. But look at this. Now we have a V-neck.
And this is just like what it was on the pattern.
Oh, so this is the regular front.
Yeah, this is the front. Yeah, and it has a seam down the middle. So this is what I started with, and I'm lazy. So as I got going with it, I said, why do I need a seam there? Why do I have to do that? So this was earlier on in the evolution.
Oh, that's interesting. So tell us about what you do here.
Well, this was just, I was cold one day, and I had some fabric left over, and this feels really good against the body, so I just made
I need to do more of this. So this is just a tube, raw edge tube. Yep, didn't even finish it, just sewed it up. Well, I like that.
Because it also doesn't hurt my neck.
It looks like there's no seam there, but I know there is.
Yeah,
there it is right there.
Sometimes the heavier scarves, I can't tolerate, they'll push my neck forward. And
You're like me, too. I can't wear heavy jewelry or heavy scarves. Okay, so you made,
I made that
to go over it.
And then this was also some jersey wool, a little bit different weight. And so and it's the same pattern. This is a high 5. The sleeves are a little bit wider on this particular garment because I had enough fabric. Not much wider, but some. That's all the fabric I had.
And you use snaps for the closure.
And I use your snaps for the closure, which I love.
Yeah.
Because then I'll put a pretty pin there.
But then you have to see the back, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but she didn't have enough fabric, so she pieced a section down the back and did you use a rotary cutter blade or pinking shears?
No, I used a rotary cutter.
This is a rotary cutter blade. So these are overlapping seams, and you can see this little scallop from the rotary color blade. And so that's a really, really nice detail.
And that's the only place I did it. The rest of the seams are traditional, and I just stitched them down,
Well, you did use it, though, to finish the seams on the inside.
I did do that because I thought that was just nice.
Nice touch. And now you can see the snaps that we have, really nice looking snaps. All right.
And that's a nice weight, too. It feels good on.
When you make two garments, essentially different but to go together, when they're the same pattern, they really fit together well. The necklines work, the sleeves work. So that's the concept of making, it's changing the fabrication, changing a few details, but you can pair them because they're coming from the same pattern. All right.
You want that purple one, Linda?
Yeah, you got to put that one on.
Okay, this one is the same thing. This was some wool jersey that I had washed years ago, and it was destroyed. It's got lines on it inside. It looked like it had faded somewhere, and I didn't know how I ended up with it. But anyway, it had been washed. I didn't have very much fabric at all, but I did have enough to do this. And it's just the high 5 pattern.
Yeah.
Sleeves are more narrow because I would have probably made them wider if I could have, but I didn't have any. So now it's kind of like a sweater.
Yeah. And you've done some top stitching.
Yes.
And just to kind of nail that down a little bit.
And this one I didn't pink. I just used my rotary cutter and then trimmed it.
And if you want to learn how to do miters, there are miters in this pattern.
Yeah, great miters.
So, yeah, it looks fantastic. Yeah, love the swing of that.
Yeah.
All right. Here's another little jacket that is
that was the very
front.
first high 5 I made.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
This is like in a rayon crepe.
Yeah. And this is my travel shirt. I wad it up in my suitcase and I go with it because it doesn't wrinkle. I can wear it with leggings. It's not too hot on an airplane, but I've got my sleeves covered.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing.
And I like the multiple buttons, vintage, of course.
Old buttons.
Yeah, and then your sister's pin, of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could wear a turtleneck with this, or a tank.
I wear a vest with it a lot.
That's a good idea, too. Or you could wear
This pattern looks really nice with the Jean Casacedo vest.
Oh, that's
because it has bigger sleeves. Yeah, it looks really nice with that.
And speaking of vests, you can make it
Like a vest.
As a vest.
This is
you
a
can
sweater
just
knit.
not put the sleeves in.
Yeah. And that's what I almost did with the purple. But then I found enough fabric to make the sleeves. But you can wear it either way. This could be the front or this could be the back, depending upon what you want.
Right. This does have the seam down the front, and it does have a little bit of the V by virtue of the pattern. This probably is shorter, yes?
Yes.
A little bit shorter in a very lightweight sweater knit that's somewhat transparent. But it's a great way to use some of these more transparent. This could be in chiffon.
This could be summer.
This could be summer.
Yeah.
I remember being at a trade show where a woman every day was walking down the aisle with a chiffon printed something like this. Mm-hmm. And I asked her what it was, and she said it actually it was our Hudson top, but she had made it 50 times in different fabrics, and every day I thought, she looked totally different. So it's all about the fabrication. Yeah, I can picture this in something summery.
And when I wear this, I wear it with a tight t-shirt.
Yeah.
Because that gives it some structure, and then something a little longer.
Right. The layering is really important. It's a really important concept. All right. Tell us about this one.
So this one is just like, basically like this one here. Except that I put Kimono Fabrics down the front.
Okay,
and
we've lost one. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, I've done two like that. I didn't want to put buttons, and this one's not done. You might notice the stitching, the hand stitching.
They will never see that this is not done. It's done as far as I'm concerned.
So these are Kimono Fabrics, and I didn't want to interrupt them with buttons or screw them up by making my buttonholes. But this is just the high five pattern lengthened and the sleeve narrowed.
Yeah, I think that narrow sleeve thing is important. Now this is the length of the sleeve on the pattern originally, but if you were to continue this, then you have a total wide box on your arms and your body. Yeah. I think the idea of narrowing the sleeve really helps to balance what you're going to wear underneath, which is going to be more narrow sleeves, just there.
Yes.
So you added, are these appliqued or are they added on?
No, I cut my pattern so that I put this 2.5 inches or whatever it is on the left and on the right, and then I just I actually finished the neckline, and then I stitched it down the middle on this one.
Okay. Well, I think this is beautiful. This is obviously the same fabric, but this one you've pieced.
Yes, and this fabric was a kimono fabric, but when I got done, I thought, oh, it needs a little more because there were just not very many, and so I just did a little bit of stenciling.
Yes, these little motifs right here are stencils with some rusty brown paint. Yeah, you know, I actually, you call this unfinished because I think you've got some stitches hanging out. But you know, I sort of like this treatment.
I know.
I'm wondering about some hand stitches.
I actually tried that, but I'm so bad at it, Linda. I got to learn how to do it better.
I find that a little hard to believe.
I really am.
Well, or how about black marker in stitched lines?
I could do that. I'm going to try it, though. I do think it needs, I agree with you, and I would rather do hand stitching. I even went and bought a little bit of wool yarn, thinking that would look good on it, because it was a little more oomph.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
So it's not done. It's not done.
Well, I like, though, that you're going to wear it anyway, and then when it's done, you'll wear it again.
Yeah, exactly, when it's changed a little.
Yeah, if you don't have access to kimono fabrics, then, of course, I'm sure you have a few somethings in your stash. Cottons, silks, rayons.
I actually toyed with this idea, putting this with it. So wouldn't that be pretty?
Yes, that's gorgeous. And this is a Japanese fabric. It has the texture of kind of a bark cloth. There's a word for it, and I can't remember what it is. But it does have a little bit of a grip to it. But this
you could even piece this. You could put this with a little bit of red or a little bit of black or something.
Well, even if you piece this and cut up the motifs, it would appear as if it were different.
Exactly. It's great fabric, and I think it would have been pretty there, too.
That is pretty. So you just made this one?
I made that one.
I mean, recently?
A couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we've got...
A month ago, maybe.
This one. I think we dealt with all of them on the wall. I think we've dealt with almost all of them in total. So let's talk about some fabrics.
Okay.
All right. So you talked about this fabric. Let's get out. So you were real...
I love this fabric.
You liked that fabric.
I like anything Japanese, Asian.
We have a little bit of this really drapey rayon chambray.
I think this would be really nice because it does have some, like if you flipped it the other way, even nice drape to it.
Right. It's gorgeous with that.
Yeah, it is beautiful with that.
And you know, if you don't want to do the piecing down the front, you could do contrasting sleeves, sort of like what you've done. You could, or the bands at the bottom of the sleeve or the bottom of the garment. All right, you hold on to that, and I'm going to get the dark one out. This is where I get my.
And you have some other color variations of this too, right, Linda?
Yes, we have a green variation, and we have a rust variation,
which would go great with any of the denims. It doesn't.
I'm not so sure, but what you couldn't piece this.
All three of them. Yeah,
and do all three. Nice. That would be really nice.
I do too.
Do the body in one, sleeves in the other, and some accents in that.
And when I was reading your Series 5 last night,
yeah.
Somebody talked about using bias tape that they'd made, bias binding, over seams. And that would be pretty with something like this pattern as well. Yes, you could do what they call,
you could do strap seams or outside Hong Kong seams, so that the edges are finished. That's a really cool idea.
And she actually just put the bias on top of the seam, not even as a Hong Kong finish. So she made the binding.
Got it.
And then she stitched it in
I know, I don't remember who that was. That series, which by the way is going to be a tutorial series on sale that I'll talk about in a minute, featured 12 different artists from around the country who took our patterns and did something really interesting with them. Why you weren't in that mix, I have no idea.
I know why, because they were really good instructions. They really were. I read them and thought, I could read that and go do it in my sewing room.
Well, you know? There you go. All right, so, let's talk about this little guy, since we're into this.
And actually, Linda, you could even add this fabric, as long as we're muddying the waters here, with all of this.
Well, that's right.
That'd be very pretty.
But we pulled this out because of what you had done here.
And this is a very similar kind of fabric.
A graphic sort of
in terms of weight
knit,
and all too.
And then border that with, now this is going sideways of course, but border that with this blue and black little striped cotton knit. So the pattern actually goes like this.
And you could put other colors with it. You could put this gold with it.
Right.
Or you could put black and white.
Aaron looked at it. We think black and white goes with anything.
So do I.
Yes. All right, we have an interesting combination here. You loved this, so we pulled this out yesterday.
I do love this.
This is a very stable, I don't know what the knit is, honestly. It's not a ponte.
It's not an old-fashioned double knit. It's nicer than that.
And then we have this fantastic architectural sort of,
I
call it a street scene. It comes in panels, but each panel is a yard. And we like these together.
I think it'd be awesome.
How would you do this? What would your design be?
I might do this just a plain one, you know, a lengthened plain one with the narrow sleeves, and then make this the jacket on top, like I did the green one.
Yeah, that I like.
Yeah.
Because they are two different weights. This is very drapey.
Yeah.
This is not, it's drapey, but it's a different texture. It has more oomph to it, I guess.
And you could make it in a shorter version, the jacket, than what I have done. Like
so you could see both the bottom, make the long sleeves.
Yeah.
You could, yeah.
Yeah, so you could put the long sleeves here and have the garment show below there. So
right.
Yeah, that's very pretty.
So we like this a lot. Okay.
I might have to do that.
All right, now we have some things on the wall. All right, now you talk about big prints. This is a big print. But I was talking about this yesterday with Aaron. People are afraid of big prints, but this print is so big that it almost is not a big print. It's a blur of beautiful fabrics.
And colors.
And colors. And by the time you cut this up and use it in pieces and parts, it's not going to look like, oh, there's a big flower here and a big thing there. It's going to be more like a painterly, hand watercolored something or other. So I think this could be cut up and used in small portions and not feel like you have to use the whole pattern. But to border it with the red and white, red and black stripe is fantastic.
Looks great with your jacket.
I know. Then this is, I believe this might be a panel. I can't remember. Do you think it is? I think it is too. I've taken the tag off of it for this. But this is more like a concentrated border, and then it fades into some, well, heck, I'm going to get it off the wall.
Yeah, because it's upside down.
Oh, yeah,
too.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is cool with the stripe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat.
All right. So this has all kinds of possibilities.
Absolutely.
Where you use it just like this, or you break this up, and you have the floral on the body, and you have your sleeves in stripes and solids, or something like that. It looks
and
like
you could see she's got it upside down, but like if this was my front here, and then my sleeves would kind of draw it down that way.
Yeah,
I think that'd be pretty.
Yeah, this would be very cool. So you put it with the stripe, or you can put it with this rayon
Do all of
wool. This is our famous rayon wool boucle that we talk about all the time, that has the look of the boiled wool that Jennie does with her wool jersey that we can't get anymore. But this has the same look. And it is
same drape.
Same drape. It is washable, but I tend not to wash it. But you can wash it. It roughs it up just a little bit. And then we have, you can pull out that, I think we have enough of that bottom we can pull out here.
Otherwise I can pull it.
Here we go. The other side here.
Okay.
There we go.
Gotcha.
Okay. Oops. Sorry. And this is a polyester.
This feels really nice.
It's so soft. It's a
drape.
polyester sweater knit. And it would make a great overpiece.
Oh, yeah, it is a sweater knit. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Sold.
That's nice. But a heavier weight one, like more of a jacket kind of.
It's like
you could do it, part of it.
It has, to me, it reminds me of a ponte that's soft.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we liked this with that.
And the blue and white stripe.
And where'd that blue and white stripe go?
Oh, I had it. I took it. I took it.
Okay.
You could do any of the above.
Yeah.
Or all of the above.
Exactly. That's really fun. Well, yeah, look at it with the yellow, too.
Yeah,
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So this is a winner. And this has a vertical stripe to it. So you could really do some interesting things. This could be one side of the garment. This black and white could be the other side. Or you could do sleeves out of one or the other.
And you could actually turn it around. So one day you wear the back.
True.
And then the next day you wear it the other way.
That's right. You probably could turn this on the cross grain too and have some vertical things going on with the sleeves as well. So that you could really mix this up and have some fun with it.
Black and white would be pretty with it too. Black and white stripe or polka dot.
All right. I think we've touched everything. So, any questions?
They can't hear me, so
all right.
at least very well.
Come on in here.
All right. Yes. Okay. There was a question about widening and narrowing the sleeves and lengthening. How you did that?
Question about how to lengthen and widen and narrow the sleeves. Well, the lengthening's pretty easy. It's literally a rectangle, so you can just lengthen it to whatever you want. And then how I would do it, and you might do it differently, is I would measure, take a tape measure and put it around my wrist or at whatever point I want the length of the sleeves, figure out that circumference, and then literally draw straight lines to it. Would you do it differently than that?
I would do it much more for my swinging from the hips. I just took it and folded the pattern back and made it more generous than I thought I would want. It lengthened it first and then folded my pattern back, made it more generous, sewed it on, tried it on, decided, oh, that's too wide, and went back and narrowed it. So I just hit and miss, not as organized as
you sewed it to what you liked.
Yes.
Well, that's fine. I mean, that's...
And it depended partly on how much fabric I had. If I had a lot of fabric, then I could do what I wanted.
So you don't mind ripping?
I don't mind ripping. I often baste first so that I can rip.
What a concept. That word baste. Okay. She's right.
I think she's making fun of me, but I'm
not.
No,
I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of the whole sewing world because all of us, many of us don't like to baste.
Yeah.
Don't like to make mistakes. Don't like to stitch that first and then
I
realize.
often baste first.
Yeah. I think you are someone who is willing to modify, cut, slash, add to.
Go in the mirror and do like this and say,
shooting from the hip as you go.
Exactly.
Sewer, which obviously has worked out great.
Everybody does it differently.
All right.
So do you raise the armholes when you narrow the sleeves?
Do you raise the armhole when you narrow the sleeves?
The only thing I did is on the front of the pattern, I took a tuck here and a tuck here.
That does not raise the arm. Okay. I think what they're talking about is,
I don't do that.
is closing this opening.
Yeah, you mess with that part.
I didn't do that.
All right, so let's talk about that a minute. Because even if you're making the smallest size, let's say size 1, and let's say you have a pretty good girth to your arm, you might want to actually use the size 2 or 3 dot and the 2 or 3 sleeve to make the sleeve bigger. Likewise, you could come up one more dot width and cut your sleeve down a little bit. So all of that is controlled with simply where you sew this side seam and where you start and stop it.
And when I made the purple and the green washed wool garments, I did do that because I wanted a little more, it's a bulkier fabric and I wanted to be able to wear something under it. I wanted it more like a sweater.
So you increased it just
so
a
I
little
did
bit.
increase it a little bit, yeah.
Can you do a round back adjustment on the high 5?
You can, but why bother? I think it depends on the amount of adjustment that you would need to make on a round back. This is a garment that's, put this on a minute. This is a garment that's going to have some vertical folds in it. And because it's a rectangle on a round body, you're going to have that high in the back, low on the sides thing. Turn around. You see how this is higher in the back, lower on the sides, and you get these vertical lines? If you wanted to drop that, then yes, you can do a round back adjustment on this. But I think this is part of what happens with this garment, so I wouldn't go overboard with that. But if you are someone who has to do an extreme round back adjustment, I think you could do that. But if you're someone who does a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch or something like that, I wouldn't bother.
I will tell you, I made the splice top for my mother, and she's quite kyphotic. And I gave it to her, and then she's in an assisted living, and I came back and it looked great on her. I said, Mom, it looks so good on you. And she said, well, I had to make some adjustments. And she just took 2 little darts in the back after the garment was finished. So she's so rounded, she just took a dart here and a dart here. And it looked great on her.
Okay. Well, that's another way to go.
You know.
Which is interesting because our next garment, if we're so confident in the March project, has 2 darts, and that's why that garment fits so well.
Yeah.
Jenny, what size are you?
Jenny, what size are you?
I usually make a extra small or small.
I think that's the smallest size.
Yeah.
Okay.
Her pattern is so old and so messed up, she probably has no idea.
In fact,
now.
I may have to download it again just to be able to use it because it's so bad.
Which brings up the point, people ask all the time, how do you preserve a pattern? And I always recommend if you know you're going to make a pattern more than once, go to one of the box stores, buy the cheapest, lousiest fusible interfacing you can, and fuse your pattern to that interfacing and then cut it out. It preserves it quite well.
For years, I've used the doctor's exam paper, and I'd never cut into the pattern. I copy it first, but I'm out of doctor's exam papers.
All right. We can help you with that.
Okay, I got it. I can do it.
That's a good idea, too.
Does Jenny do something so that the hem would be straight across?
Does Jenny do something so that the hem is straight across? Would you?
I'm not exactly sure. It's a rectangle. What you mean by that?
That means that somebody's asking you, would you do this so that the hem is straight?
That's a good idea.
You know, I think if that's something that is visually sort of unacceptable to you, this may not be your garment.
You mean the way this is?
I think this is the essence of this garment, is that the drapey sides higher in the front and the back. So if it's really not your thing, Now, the more narrow you make it, here, stand here. So the more narrow you make it by pleating this, the straighter this becomes. So that would be a pleat.
I actually tried that on one. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I made it too narrow.
I think
I lost
by seeing this, is it straighter here and drapier there? That would be one way to do that.
And I think they might also be seeing your jacket versus her longer garments, and so it's more pronounced on Linda's jacket than the longer tunics, maybe.
Maybe so.
Yours looks very angled.
And also, it's a different fabric.
Yes, this is a very stiff,
structured
not stiff,
fabric.
but it's, well, it's pretty stiff. It's a polyester. We're working with knits that have a flow and drape to them, and they may be hanging deeper than
But you had this on yesterday with a beautiful soft wool that looked gorgeous. I mean, it had a little more drape than this, but not as much as this, and it was beautiful.
They're interested in Jennie and your sister's jewelry. Where can they find it?
They want to know about your sister's jewelry. How do they find your sister's jewelry?
I can give you, I didn't ask her this question, I can give you my sister's email.
All right, well, we'll put that in the notes.
Okay.
So you can leave that with me afterwards, and we'll make sure that they know about it.
She has amazing things. She's taught here before.
Yes, and
Years ago.
I was trying to wear one of her pieces today, but that just didn't quite work.
Yeah.
I own several of her pieces, and they are exquisite. Your sister is very talented.
She's very talented, yeah.
And Linda, what are you wearing underneath your high five?
I am wearing, underneath my high five, a swing tee. This happens to be short sleeve. I wish it were long sleeve today, but it is a swing tee.
It's really cute under that.
And then I'm wearing them over my, my every week black Picasso pants.
And I'm wearing my leggings, my running pants.
Can you guys explain the fabrics that you're wearing, both of you?
Can we explain the fabrics that we're wearing? This is a polyester quilted, sort of embossed fabric.
Almost looks like a home deck fabric, but much softer.
It does. And the fabric of my swing tee is a viscose knit, and my pants are a black ponte knit. And yours
This is your bamboo knit, right?
Yeah, we have several stripes. I shouldn't have raised that quite as high as I did there. Yes, bamboo rayon of bamboo, bamboo of rayon of bamboo, viscose knit.
This is your thinnest ponte.
That's our lightweight ponte.
And then this is something that was in my stash that's a sheer knit.
Yes, which we don't have.
Yeah.
They did question about your sleeve. I think at one point you had pushed it up to your elbow, so they did want to see the length of
my real sleeve, yeah. I made it, I tried to make it, this is what happens when you not terribly accurate. I tried to make it the right length, like if I wanted to pull it all the way down.
Yeah. You've done a little roll hem on the bottom of this sheer knit. A sheer knit can be left raw as well.
Exactly.
Either way.
I actually thought about putting it as a binding here, but in the end I just didn't want to mess with it.
The kimono fabrics you mentioned, do you have a source for that? Is there a new place?
A source for kimono fabrics. Our old source is dried up, all kimono. They're no longer in business. I think you're going to have to Google that. There is Carol Saber, Saber, S-A-B-E-R Designs. She sells a lot of kimono fabrics. Other than that, I haven't bought any kimono fabrics for a long time. I don't need to. I have a lot.
I've gone to the website, various websites, and tried and ordered from them. I've used some of the cottons that you have in lieu of that.
Yeah.
And then I've picked some up at estate sales and taken them apart.
Did you sew the kimono pieces directly onto the fabric, or how did you?
What I did is
The question is, did she sew the kimono pieces onto the fabric? Are they appliqued, or is it attached?
I didn't think I did it that way. I did. I did them two different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take your pick.
Yeah. Take your pick. This one is just the kimono, and
So it's seamed.
It is seamed, but what I did it the same on both. I faced it. So this was this wide, and I turned it under because I didn't want to put, I don't think I put interfacing. Oh, I did put interfacing in there. So I did put interfacing as well.
So it's double layer faced with a seam.
Yeah.
So that makes a beautiful finished seam edge because that's a fold. So it's like this, and then attached.
And that
or
also,
not attached here.
That also gives you some choices as you're sewing it. If you decide in the end, I don't want to put the buttons on it, because that's what I did on that.
Okay.
I just decided when I was all done, the buttons would interrupt the design. So I just said, I'll just close it up as long as I can get it over my head.
Interesting. Okay.
And this one I did the same, and I left it a V because this neckline was a little tighter, but that's exactly what I did with this one too.
Okay. Not exactly.
Not exactly?
Because this is this fabric, and this is...
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, you have faced this, you've attached this.
But you know why? Because I made a mistake. I didn't have enough, I must not have cut this wide enough to be able to turn it back and overlap it and all.
Yeah.
And then I decided I wanted to close it up.
So in other words, this is a great lesson for all of us. It's figuring it out, it's engineering as you go, which I think is brilliant, really.
And there's no right or wrong way. If
Exactly.
it works on you and it looks good on you and you like it, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Exactly. That matters.
All right. Anything else?
On that same top, did you increase the V, or is that the same shape and pattern?
It looks like it's increased a
I think I
little.
increased it a little bit. I'm not sure why, but looks like I did.
Yeah.
Oh, you know why? Because when I put this on, I felt like it was a little too high at my neck. This one was okay because I'm going to wear it with this. But this one, I don't want to wear a necklace with. I just want it that way. So I wanted it a little lower. I thought it looked better.
Do you ever have a problem making a buttonhole over the mitered corner?
Do you ever have trouble making a buttonhole over a mitered corner?
Like in the button?
In yours, Linda, I don't have a button.
Oh, in this?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think this buttonhole is exactly over the mitered corner.
I didn't put it over the mitered corner for that reason, because I didn't want to mess. I was afraid I'd screw it up.
I don't think it
So I
would.
lowered
If
it
you're
down.
using stabilizer paper and open up your stitch length a little bit on your buttonhole and make 10 tests, you should be fine.
And if you don't want to do that,
Put a pin.
you put a pin at the top. That's why I didn't do it here, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I didn't put the buttonhole all the way up.
Yeah.
And I didn't like how that looked. So, and it gave me an opportunity to use my pin.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on. A little bit off topic, but
Sorry.
do you like your 890 machine, Linda? Have you used it, and do you like it?
Do I like my 890 machine? Have I used it? Do I like it? I am crazy about it. It is the easiest, most beautiful machine I've ever used. This is a new Serger cover stitch machine. And yeah, I'm loving it. Totally.
Does it self-thread?
Yes.
That would be nice.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, so those are all the questions we have. So there are people who either don't want to buy a pattern or have this pattern and have made it so many times they don't want to make it again. We've got a couple of other patterns that we can show you that you like, that you've worked with, that would do these same sorts of things. So one is the Era jacket.
Great pattern. I love it.
So it's again a short pattern, has a little different flavor of vent. It's more of a V vent, nice deep hems, tapered sleeve, which is great. And this time it has a collar, because you know that's the one thing that the High Five does not have, is a collar. So you could take the Era and lengthen it. You could close it up, make it a funnel necked t-shirt.
I cut it down a little.
Cut it down a little. So this has all kinds of potential.
I put some vintage buttons here that were awesome. I think the pattern shows that.
Yes, yes. So this is a real good alternative or other pattern. And then we have the Tremont jacket, which I also think has lots of potential. Now I'm showing you this one because this is the fabric. This is not pieced, but it shows you how you could piece. This is on the horizontal.
And
This
if you
is on
like
the vertical.
a wider arm's eye, you know, you can
Right.
get it with that one.
Yeah, but this has a kimono style look to it as well, and it's super easy to make, and it fits like a dream, and it's not quite as boxy. It's definitely a loose fitting oversized jacket, but it's not that square on square effect if that's something you don't care for. And then I wanted to show you one more garment. This is the high five.
Beautiful. Gorgeous.
That I made a few years ago that has kimono silk pieces appliqued to the surface of this wool crepe. And then every seam and edge has a 4-thread serge that's decorative. This has been lengthened.
It's gorgeous.
So this is a tutorial called Kabuki Patchwork Jacket. And it'll take you from start to finish of how to cut this up exactly like this, how to do the serging, and you can make something sort of kind of just like this if you choose to by purchasing that tutorial. So we have some specials. Every fabric that we've talked about, including these two that we didn't pull out, are 15% off for the next week. The High Five, the Era, and the Tremont are on sale. We have 2 tutorials, Kabuki Patchwork Jacket, and, are you ready? Do we have a drum roll here? I've stood in front of people for the last 10 years and said, we never discount So Confident. But for 1 week only, we are discounting Series 5, So Confident, the one that you referred to that has the 12 different artists' renditions of our patterns. And it is a really interesting series of tutorials. It's everything from pieced garments to natural dyed fabrics to felting to pleating to...
And they all do some portion of their artistic garment very specifically. So if you don't like me saying, just cut it up here, lengthen it there, they tell you how to do it, which is nice.
It's full on instruction of how to do
it really is.
That garment. So that is half price, which makes it $49.50. And that's a first and probably the last of any So Confident we'll ever discount again. All right, any more questions? Any last minute questions?
They did have one last question about the machine, if you don't mind. Is it easy to switch back and forth?
It's super easy to switch. It's back to the machine, the 890. Is it easy to switch back and forth? And the answer is totally easy. It's amazing. Yeah, it's the best one I've ever used. And I've worked with 3 or 4 brands of this sort of machine, and this is.
And is this a Bernina?
It is a Bernina. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
We did have one last question you might want to answer. What is So Confident?
Oh, what is So Confident? I get to talk about that. So Confident is our series of tutorials that we produce every year. This year, it's a sort of sew along. It's called Series 10 because we've been at this for 10 years. And every month, I film a video of taking a garment from start to finish. And then a week after that, we do a live Zoom question and answer series. But it's a specific project, garment, fabric every month. And we've started that in January, it was a knit top. February are the jogger pants that go with it. February is a loose-fitting, flowy jacket in a printed rayon crepe with piping and pockets and matching motifs and all of that. In previous years, it's been a lot of things. On our website, it does describe each year. Sometimes it's really technique-driven. Some years have more fitting components to it. The one we're talking about, this Series 5, is all about inspirational garments by artists around the country. And those are PDF, print-out, viewable tutorials, 12 of them each year. This is the only year that has video component to it. And the prices vary from $99 a year to $125 to $425. Depending on how big the program is. So
it's sort of like going to a conference sewing workshop conference that you do during Corona.
Yeah.
Because you can actually.
Right. And you can watch them forever. That you own the material forever. It goes into your account that you set up on our website. and all of that is downloadable and watchable on large screen, your phone, your small device, whatever. If you have any really specific questions about it, we're happy to answer by phone, email. A lot of the information is on the website. So, all right. Well, Jennie, this has been really fun.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
I've loved it.
Thank you for inviting me.
And every time she comes in, I learn something new, and I'm inspired again. And I'm going to have you back because I know that the high five jacket is only one of the pattern of many that you've worked with.
I've sewed with all of your patterns. I've probably done, well, way more than 10 garments of every one of them. Right. Way more.
So we'll see her sometime again this year. It'll be fun. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.